It was 2017 when we saw three gaming planets align: Square Enix, PlatinumGames, and the great, if not a little bit strange, Yokotaro. On initial release of the game, not everyone was aware that it was a sequel, and since putting out content about NieR Automata, we've actually seen a re-release of that original game under the Replicant title. I think it may have been Skill Up's breakout video. I can't quite remember, it is quite a long time ago, but he got to it very early and tried to sort of introduce the mainstream to the game's greatness. To his credit, the guy hasn't really looked back since. Fortunately, I can't say the same. I was essentially looking at it wrong. I was coming off the back of Neo, and when I saw that Platinum name, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be like a hack and slash, bit of questing, but it's all going to be about the fighting. That does make up a large part of the game, but upon looking at NieR Replicant, I totally understand the narrative, the alternate ending setup, and that whole reverse engineer Yaku does with his writing. Essentially, a lot of his games start at the end of a disaster, and the rest of the content is centered around unraveling that.
複雑な気分。
情報はあればあるに越したことはないですよ。To be.
Confessions also, when I first played it, I went for the main quest, I even had a walkthrough. I wanted to see as much of that center content as possible for the review. And I think if you've played this game, if you've gone anywhere near it, or if you've finished it and seen one of the multiple endings, you'll understand that that is not the best way to enjoy the game's message. Essentially, there's this massive section mid-game where it just opens up to you, gives you a larger area and an absolute mountain of side quests. I just saw this as clutter when I was first playing the game, but going back to it and really exploring what everybody has to say in all of the locations and opening up that story more through that NPC dialogue, it is such a sweet spot. There has also been a lot of water under the third-person action role-playing bridge since 2017. I've had the opportunity to play an incredible amount of video games, most of which center around this genre. Watching this in 2025, by the way, this is on a PlayStation 5. It does come with backwards compatibility, but we're kind of looking at PS4 Pro spec. It is still mind-blowing how well made this game is, how good looking it still is, but above all, it's its soundtrack. The soundtrack is on par with Hotline Miami's, which I put in the top 3 video game soundtracks of all time. Slightly polar opposite, I know, but it's about marrying up the vibe of the game with what you're hearing, and both of those aforementioned titles nail it. A lot of the visuals and designs and some of the NPC characters are an echo of the original game, which is actually a spin-off from Drakengard, which is also getting sequeled, but Yoku's not working on it. My point being, you sort of find a little bit of origin story with why this game looks like it does, its subject matters, its strangeness, and how that story is paced. And that sort of helped me justify how strange a game this actually is, how off the wall a lot of the subject matter is, and how it sort of pushes towards massive questions on humanity. Even the sentient AI debate, and that's probably the main theme through a lot of the smaller side quests, even that main content. You get involved in some very personal, human-like issues via this break-off robot sect that has occurred within the game's story. And another Japanese video game that has this angle, particularly at the start, that you might be technically working for the big corporates, the big bad guys, the rebels coming in later in the game, and they're kind of being a switcheroo. Armored Core 6 dabbles with this area. I think it's quite cool. With Armored Core 6, it's not so obvious. With this, off the bat, you're like, something is definitely up with the corporation. I'm also desperate to talk about this combat against modern third-person ARPGs. It's really strangely timed. I've just come off the back of a Lord to the Fallen update video where they have added a allocated jump button, but more importantly, a slightly extended roll. And despite it being quite a minor adjustment to that combat setup, it changes things hugely. Some good, some bad, but it gives the game a lot more fluency and freedom. Now, NieR Automata has got an R2 dodge, and I think the best analogy for it is, imagine if the ground underneath you is ice for a couple of seconds. You are also in full control, and you'd probably go forward about 8 to 10 meters. You can loop right round enemies, but get this, it's applicable in the air and when you're jumping. and it doesn't really have a stamina depletion. To say that it complements the bullet hell design of the game is an understatement. It's got drops of Devil May Cry in there. Then you see that platinum flashiness when you do a slam roll into the ground. You also have a really workable set of range weapons and a focus system. It feels like it was made yesterday. Do not be under any illusions that this is a Souls-like. This has got way more in common with an old-school Final Fantasy game, with its questing system and cornered off, semi-open sections. And there are mounts you can get around a lot quicker. Upon playing Stellar Blade, you totally get where that dude got his inspiration from for that game setup, but that's just a little bit tighter on the restart point system, thus pointing it slightly closer to the Souls-like model. Plus the combat's just a whole nother level. I will take comments on which of the protagonists you feel is fitter. That could be one of the toughest questions out there on the internet right now. Let's talk about 2B for a minute. That is the female of the two people you see on the screen currently. The game tries desperately to paint her as this grizzled military badass, emotionless and quite cold on a lot of the dialogue lines. All of the NPCs, particularly the robot people, find this well offensive and refer to her as like the rude lady. I think it's excellent, but she softens up. Everything goes well crazy with that story, hence the reason I've made the video. I only ever saw one ending over on the PlayStation 4, and I massively regret that now with looking at the alternative directions for that endgame content. I also did not dabble in a single side quest and work out some of the awesome stories that that finale has attached to it. There is so much content in that mid-game map, and the mini and side quests are amazing. NieR Replicant got a bit of flack for that. Just looked at the IGN review of it, and it's like, the questing system is a mess. It's like, you guys just don't get it. You will be referring to that mini-map quite a lot, and not everything is completely hand-holdy, and you will have to place some manual markers and start working out exactly where things are yourself. That is quite a lot of fun if it's done correctly and you've got enough information to complete the task. It also scales really well with your rank. You are going to see a lot of respawn enemies in that map, but things get tougher when you get tougher. And it's cool having an XP element with a game like this. You are looking to level up and kill stuff and get better equipment from the vendors because you've got some cooler gear that you've found. There's a crazy thing going on with the mushrooms at the moment and an upgrade. That economy and system is far more advanced than something from Stellar Blades. You don't even change your weapon in that game. With this, you can go full-blown, buy brand new stuff. It's got new move sets. You can have 2 equipment sets running simultaneously, even switch them mid-swing. There's a full-blown hub trade system, multiple different vendors selling different things. You have a bottomless pit there with development. Let's get to one of the final aspects and one of my favourite things about the entire game, and it is bolstered massively by that amazing music, and it is of course the locations. There is actual real magic in this video game. Yoku has a magician's touch, I'm not even joking, and you can feel it in Replicant loads. No other creator, designer or developer takes these sorts of risks nowadays. This wouldn't make it through EA's or Ubisoft's quality control. They'd be like, no, this is way too wholesome and heartwarming and awesome to look at and listen to. Don't you dare play that English dub. Don't you dare, you damn heathen. This should be listened to in its native language. All of the characters have very detailed and tailored voices, particularly with your superiors, a lot of the messages that come through on the radio, and the conversations between to be and not to be. That's a sub. And look at this desert, my god, it's amazing. I'm rescuing some crazy robot with a pink ribbon on its head. Stuff doesn't get much better.
私は助けられない。
早く行こう。ほら、お姉さん待ってるよ。
I am deliberately not showing you any bosses or boss fights. They're all awesome, they're all set piece, and they are all story integral. You have to trust me, they are amazing. They haven't held back on the difficulty with them either, and they all have this strange personality. They might also have a unique set piece environment attack, but just mid-level stuff, just groups you come across, the bigger robots, the way they're designed. I knock off his armor and you see a bit of that exposed mechanics. Pretty cool stuff. Is it dropping a single frame? Absolutely nothing. What resolution are we working with here? It's 1080, but I think there's some super sampling going on. We certainly have some very crisp textures considering the age of the game. Lighting is pretty damn cool because it's Platinum. It's all about the flash and crazy sparks and swing mechanics. All of that looks completely normal today. I was expecting to really feel this game's age after coming off Wukong. Again, something like Stellar Blade, full 9th gen amazing graphics. NieR Automata still looks absolutely gorgeous. And we can't really talk about NieR without explaining how it alters the camera and game genre quite literally on the fly. It is a shoot 'em up at the start, then you switch around to maybe side-scrolling 2D platforming action, then it swings back into that third-person ARPG hack and slash format. It is sublime. A sequel was spoken about this time last year, and that's why I mentioned those 3 parties at the start of the video. I very much doubt we'll get them all aligned again. God only knows what Platinum are up to at the moment. Square Enix doesn't like anybody, and Yaku has had so much success with this that he may not have to go via those aforementioned companies to put out something else within the universe. Only time will tell. I'm quite surprised that we're coming up to 10 years and nothing following up NieR Automata. It must have made a lot of money, and I think that also spurred the remaster remake of NieR Replicant, which may even feature on the channel at some point. So I think this game's potential audience fall into 3 camps essentially. Camp 1, got it on week of launch, finished, got all 16 different endings done, thank you very much, played NieR Replicant. Camp 2, the one I'm in, had a go at it on launch, got to the end, thought okay, bit strange, ignored most of that extra content. Or Camp 3, the luckiest camp you have never played in, and it is sitting there cheap as chips at the moment. 17th year anniversary coming up as well, might have just gone past. It is a perfect time to play NieR Automata. It also blows a massive raspberry at most of the AAA stuff that's out at the moment, particularly from Western devs. That marathon game from Bungie, that needs to be unbelievably good. Otherwise we could be witnessing a very big collapse on that side of the hemisphere. Rockstar's pretty safe because I've got GTA 6 on the horizon, but I fear the great sword of Damocles is dangling over the heads of some of the other bigger name Western publishers and studios. My advice to Western developers and publishers, as someone who's been gaming since 1986, like actually gaming, not casual, that was the year of the first Dragon Quest game, by the way, they need to start innovating again, start getting creative again, stop stagnating and being safe and being too worried about what the subreddit's gonna say. You think From Software give a shit about that sort of stuff? They care about the people who are playing the video games to make the video game really enjoyable for the person that plays it. This is like Marek's mantra from Lords of the Fallen. It is not rocket science. Funny, GTA should come up there. I've just put a video out, quite a big one, about why 6 is quite culturally important. But in the comments, people are saying that there might be split screen co-op. That was in 4, right? I don't think it was split screen, but you could both be in the same, occupy the same area? Help me on that one. I might have dreamt that. My name was, of course, Couch Coop, and you need to go out and either replay this game, play it for the first time, or just listen to that soundtrack. Just for those memories, 2017, when gaming and the industry was very, very different. Couch Coop, spelled C-O-O-P, not Couch Co-op, Couch Coop, C-O-O-P. I will, of course, see you down there. Don't put that English version on.
なんだかどっと疲れました。
確かに